Have you ever felt that strange shift when someone who once admired you suddenly turns cold, distant, or overly critical? At first, it may seem confusing. You might wonder if you did something wrong, or if you misunderstood the connection you thought you had. But when it comes to a narcissistic woman, the truth is often darker. What appeared to be love or deep attention was never about love at all. It was about power, control, and keeping you in a position where your worth existed only through her approval. This video is for anyone who has lived through that storm of emotional highs and lows and who has questioned their own reality under the weight of constant manipulation. On Emotional Soulmate, we shine a light on the hidden tactics of narcissistic women and emotional abuse so that you no longer feel alone or lost in the shadows. Stay with this video until the very end, because what you will hear may not only validate your deepest feelings, but also give you a path forward, a path that leads away from manipulation and back to your own strength. The seduction of attention that was never real. In the early stages, everything can feel overwhelming in the best way. The compliments, the constant texts, the excitement of being pursued. It all feels like the beginning of real love. But with a narcissistic woman, this kind of attention rarely comes from genuine care. It is not affection, it is surveillance. Every sweet word, every carefully placed compliment, every gesture is part of a hidden strategy to learn exactly what makes you tick. The truth is, what feels like closeness is actually a test. She studies how you respond, what makes you open up, what makes you trust. And once she finds those emotional soft spots, they stop being tender places of connection and start becoming weapons. The admiration that once made you shine now feels heavy, like a leash wrapped around your neck. You begin to realize that you are not being loved. You are being managed. Her focus was never on building a life with you. It was never about a partnership built on trust or respect. Instead, she creates a system where your entire value is measured by how well you reflect her. You are no longer a full person with needs and feelings of your own. You become a mirror, and that mirror must always flatter. The more you try to keep her approval, the less you recognize yourself. What once felt intoxicating begins to feel suffocating. The turning point, when you refuse to be controlled. Narcissistic women thrive in chaos and uncertainty. As long as you are confused, as long as you second-guess yourself, you remain easy to control. The fog of doubt is their greatest weapon. But when you start to demand clarity, when you hold your ground, something shifts. You begin to see through the game, and the power imbalance starts to weaken. The woman who once showered you with affection now begins to criticize you. Suddenly, you are too emotional, too needy, too distant, or too difficult. These changes are not random mood swings. They are carefully designed tactics to knock you off balance, because once you stop chasing her approval, she feels her grip loosening. The greatest fear she carries is not losing you as a partner, it is losing her control over you. And when control begins to slip, panic takes over. That panic does not look like fear. It looks like escalation. She may gaslight you until you doubt your memory. She may lie, shift blame, or guilt you until you question your own boundaries. None of this is about finding resolution or fixing problems. Every move is about dragging you back into the emotional cycle where she holds the upper hand. The moment you resist is the moment she fights hardest to pull you back in. The last dirty trick: collapse and hoover. When all the usual tactics stop working, A narcissistic woman turns to her most desperate and dangerous strategy: the collapse and the hoover. The collapse often looks like regret. She may cry, offer emotional apologies, or share what sounds like deep reflections about everything that went wrong. On the surface, it can look like real growth, even like a breakthrough. But beneath the tears and the words, it is pure calculation. Vulnerability becomes a disguise. The collapse is not a breakdown of pride, it is bait. Once she senses your guard lowering, the hoover begins. Suddenly, she showers you with apologies, gifts, or late-night confessions of love. She may bring up the good times, reminding you of the bond you once shared. It all feels like a chance for renewal, like maybe this time will be different. But it is never about love. It is about necessity. You were her supply, her emotional fuel. She does not miss the real you, the one who has grown stronger. She misses the version of you that could still be controlled. The collapse and hoover are not about rebuilding. They are about resetting the cycle. If you step back in, the control begins all over again. Breaking the cycle, the power of silence. The most powerful weapon you have against a narcissistic woman is not arguing, not explaining, not fighting. It is silence. Silence strips her of the emotional fuel she needs to survive. This is the essence of the gray rock technique. Becoming emotionally neutral, not because you are weak, but because you are wise. When you refuse to react, you starve her manipulation of its energy. It is like taking oxygen away from a flame. At first, she will push harder. She will provoke, mock, or beg just to get a reaction. Any spark of anger, hurt, or guilt feeds her control. But when your calm becomes steady, when you no longer give her what she wants, she begins to lose her grip. This silence is not about being cold or shutting down your emotions. It is about protecting yourself. It is a conscious choice to stop giving energy to someone who only knows how to drain it. By refusing to participate in the cycle, you show her that she no longer has the power to dictate your reality. Reclaiming yourself. The real journey begins. Walking away from a narcissistic woman is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of the most important chapter. Narcissistic abuse works like slow erosion. Over time, you begin to doubt your own instincts. You second-guess your decisions. You shrink, not because you want to, but because it feels safer to stay small. Healing begins with clarity. The clarity that your worth is not up for negotiation. That real love does not require you to erase yourself. That setting boundaries is not cruelty, but survival. With each step, you start to rebuild the parts of yourself that were silenced. You rediscover your boldness, your softness, your dreams, and your desires. These pieces do not return all at once. They come back piece by piece as you give yourself permission to exist fully again. And when you finally validate yourself, instead of waiting for her to validate you, you feel whole in a way you may have forgotten was even possible. Turning pain into strength. There is strength in survival, but the greater strength is found in transformation. Pain alone does not define you. What you do with that pain does. The turning point arrives when you stop waiting for the apology that will never come. When you stop chasing explanations from someone who only listens to twist your words, and when you stop mistaking chaos for love. From that place of clarity, you begin to demand consistency, not charisma. You choose depth over drama, respect over performance. You start to see the difference between compassion and self-betrayal, between loyalty and self-abandonment. No longer do you chase after affection that is given only to keep you hooked. Instead, You learn to hold out for love that is steady, honest, and real. Returning to who you were meant to be. Before the gaslighting, before the shrinking, before you molded yourself small to make someone else comfortable, there was a version of you that was whole and unbroken. That version is not gone. It is waiting for you. This stage is not about revenge. It is not about proving anything to the narcissistic woman who once controlled you. It is about reclaiming space in your own life, enforcing boundaries that protect your energy, and surrounding yourself with people who celebrate your strength instead of exploiting your softness. In time, you become the very person you once wished she could be. Steady, kind, resilient, and true. The greatest victory is not showing her your strength. It is becoming strong enough that you no longer need her validation at all. Letting go without looking back. Clarity becomes your compass. With it, you understand that simply leaving is not the true victory. The victory is in growing beyond it. You stop begging for basic respect. You stop decoding contradictions that were never meant to make sense. You stop offering your empathy to people who twist it into weakness. This growth brings you to peace, not the boring kind of peace you once feared, but the beautiful kind that feels steady and safe. Some will say you have changed. Some may accuse you of being hard or distant, but what they really mean is that you are no longer easy to control, and that is the clearest sign of your healing. You outgrew. You did not just leave. When you step out of the chaos, you step into freedom. Your silence is healing. Your boundaries are gates that you control. You are not here to be someone's emotional supply. You are here to live fully, love deeply, and rise boldly, on your own terms, without guilt, without apology. This is not the end of your story. This is your beginning. If this message resonates with you, share your thoughts in the comments. Let others know they are not alone, and let your voice be part of the healing. And as always, because YouTube's algorithm tends to favor videos with strong engagement, if you feel this video has brought you value, a simple like and a quick subscribe would mean so much. It not only helps this message reach more people who need it, but also ensures you will never miss the next video that could make a difference in your journey. Thanks all.